good morning, everybody. Welcome to Stock Analysis Friday. Hope everybody's doing good on this August 29th, 2025. August almost over. All right, so we're going to go through stocks today, stocks you want to look at, and ETFs. Type them in caps. I already see some coming in, which is great. And then we'll analyze those. Let me know if you're long or short, or perhaps already in a stock and just want to know a good exit area. So I'll be glad to look at those for you. All right, a couple of things. Well, I want to take a quick look at Bitcoin. That's come down again a little bit more. It's kind of in a critical area, so we kind of want to take a look at that, and also the overall markets. Before I get going, let me just go through a few administrational items. So let me go ahead and start that now. And also, too, let me know if we get choppy on the video. Last week, I reviewed the video, and it was pretty choppy. And so let me know if you start to have a hard time with the audio or the video, and we'll see if we can't fix that along the way. All right, so let me jump in here real quick and go through this information. We have to tell you about the risks involved in trading. Like I always say, without that risk, there is no opportunity. So the two really do go hand in hand, but you need to be aware of them. Also, too, check with your financial advisor or whoever manages your money to be sure any of the picks that we choose or ideas we share are suitable for you. I don't know your personal situation, and they, of course, certainly do, or at least should, right? And then finally, past performance cannot be guaranteed in the future because we deal in a realm of probabilities. And that, of course, is what makes trading so hard, is the fact that you can do everything right and still end up on the wrong side of a trade. So you always have to use risk control, and you always have to have the psychology to be able to handle that type of environment. All right, so a couple books that can help you on money management are available, and I'll put the links in the recording for this. We have Money Management System and Money Management for Traders. Basically, the Money Management for Traders book is a condensed version, almost like a Cliff Notes of the larger book, which goes into more detail on money management and risk control. And then I have the Art of Trading book, which is my second edition now. First edition went out in 2008. So we put this one out this year. So it's been a while. My publisher wanted me to do a second edition, and there was a lot of information to put in there. So it's about 608 pages. So it's a big book, but it's a good book. I think it's the best book I've ever written because it's so comprehensive. And then I have Elliott Wave Techniques Simplified, published by my other publisher, McGraw-Hill. And that is to do all about the Elliott Wave, which is a form of technical analysis. And then we come back to Wiley Publishing, and I did the survival guide for traders for them as well. So anyway, I'll put a link up for these books. You can get them off Amazon. Also, too, we have very specialized software. Our software now is used in over probably 85 countries worldwide. We have hedge funds using it. We have private investors using it. And the top row is charting software. We call the ART software. We have scanners. Many of you probably already own those. And then we have the risk control software at the bottom. So it forms a complete package. And we'll put a link up for our software in the recording as well. All right, and take a little minute here and give us a like. And then also, too, I wanted to put this up here. We've been getting a lot of requests on this. This is our market opportunity report here. And I'm going to put a link up here for you to get that. And I'll put a link also in the recording as well. And basically, MOR stands for, as I said, Market Opportunity Report. And it's a weekly service where every Sunday I do a video in addition to a written report. And it's very comprehensive on all the indexes, major indexes. That includes the NASDAQ, the S&P, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Then I do Bitcoin write-up, and then I have stock picks too. So it's a very comprehensive service, not expensive. We got tons of subscribers, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to join us and also support the channel by doing so. So I wanted to share that with you this morning. All right, so now I'm just going to jump in real quick on take a look at Bitcoin for right now. Okay, so we've come into we're into this area here where, let me just redo my pointer. Give me 1 second. Sometimes it gets a little glitchy. and it is glitchy now. Okay, so in any case, this little area in here, hopefully you can see my mouse with the square here. This little area in here is the consolidation. We had one area in here, came down to a fair value gap area here, and then popped up, and now it consolidated again. We have an order block sitting right here, which is this thin gray area in that area there. And that area seems to be holding and needs to hold. If it does not hold, then that could be problematic for Bitcoin. So we expect to bounce up. The target for Bitcoin still remains at 127 to 159, but I want to see that order block hold and then a rebound back to the upside. The weekly chart on the far right is painting in a bearish price bar for the week. But again, it's come down just below the fair value gap into this structure here. So far, as long as that structure holds, then we should get a bounce back up into the target area. So just want to share that because people are starting to freak out a little bit because it's below 110 again. All right, and then finally, let me take a look here at the Dow Jones, and that, of course, sprung back up, which we kind of expected. And again, I go into more detail in the written report, but it's in an area here that is a target range. So now we got to watch it really carefully and look for any type of reversal or continuation. So it eventually took out its highs here, which we thought it would do. S&P and NASDAQ did that earlier. So anyway, I'm not going to go through the other indexes, but if you're interested in that, definitely check out our MOR report. And let me now dive in to stocks coming in. And I think the first one, Ed, is you. Okay, so welcome, Ed. Let's take a look at REGN. REGN. You are down 1% on this. So let's see what's cooking on that. All right, so okay, this looks actually pretty good, Ed. I would continue to hold this one for right now. You've got a uptrend in place, and you can see that on the daily chart right there. All right, so that is good. However, all right, I think this uptrend is going to be a correction only. Now, the only thing that concerns me is we're right here at the top of a elongated bar down, and we want that area here to hold at 621.17. All right, because we could get another slide to the downside. So you got to be kind of careful with that. So I probably have my pyramid on, if this pyramid gets hit here, I probably would have my stop right under like 565.55. And if you want to give it a little more room, maybe at 541.25. Okay, so that's kind of it. I think you're enjoying an uptrend inside a bear market bounce. Okay, that's what I think you're enjoying right now. So I'm not so sure this is going to have the legs to continue up and make new highs eventually, but we may get up a little bit further. And so I think it's worth a hold, but be careful because once it comes back down, it should come down pretty hard. All right, let's take a look at coin. All right, Coinbase up 24%. Yep, it's done pretty well. It's hit its target, and now it has been coming down. So in this case here, this would have been an area here to take profits. All right, and when would you have done that? Well, a couple of ways. You could have drawn a trend line like that, right? Simple trend lines are good, okay? And you can see on the weekly where it broke the trend line box that we had as well. We still have a green PTF, so probably this order block down here should hold. And I think probably you'll see buyers come back in here between the price of 286 to 265. And then we should probably move one more leg up. So I don't think the top is in, but I think the short-term top was hit here, and we'll probably go back up into it. And at that particular point, when we see that rebound, we should have one more measured leg up. So I'm thinking probably, if we take a look at a couple of different ways to measure the leg, let's just say we have from here, oops, let me do that again. We have from here to here. So you're probably talking about 652 as the eventual high on this if we get another measured move. Okay. So I would hold that one. I think you're okay with that one. BMY. That is, you're down 1% on this one. And let's take a look at that. So you got pyramids heading down on the weekly. You've got a range on the daily. And let's see. Yeah, I'm not too, this is going to probably range back and forth quite some time. I think probably what will end up happening is you'll get an opportunity to get out at a profit, probably, and I would do it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Al, how are you? Al, how you liking that new Discord room, huh? All right. Okay, let's see what we got here. OJ. I'm not sure. That one's coming up. Let's try NTLA. NTLA. Okay. So on this one here, had a nice turnaround at the bottom here after a long slide down. Wow. All right. Green PTF on the daily. All right. So this is actually really a good one. And I'll tell you why. A couple of reasons. One is you're not getting near a top because look how much it slid down on the weekly chart. And it looks like we've seen a turnaround on it. The only thing about it, let's just see, you still got a bearish trade on the weekly chart with an active pyramid stop at 1773. We're at 1122. However, you also have a green PTF on the daily chart. So what do? Well, we have a green owl also on the weekly. So we had a move up here. All right. We've had an ABC correction. And now it looks to me like it's poised to take out this high at 1451. So I would probably use that as my target. All right. And if this continues on, all right, if it starts getting up into the target area, you can just draw a trend line and stay with it as long as you can. So I actually, even though it hasn't turned around definitively yet that much on the weekly chart, I think the daily chart is looking pretty good. You no longer have an active bearish pyramid here. So I'm thinking, okay. Now, another thing you could do on this is you could also wait for a pullback, which it's in now, all right, and then see if it takes out this high here at 1197 so you could draw a trend line. You can't really technically draw a trend line, an uptrend yet on this because it hasn't pulled back and made another high. Definition of an uptrend is higher highs and higher lows. You don't have on this little movement here yet higher highs and higher lows. So you only had it on this leg up here. So you're kind of getting in a little early, but I'd say with the green PTF, I think it's okay. All right. You could probably jump in earlier if you wanted to be a little more conservative, wait until prices get bullish again and take out the high at 1197. So that's that one. All right. VTLE. Let's take a look at that one. All right, let's see what we got cooking back here. Similar situation in that we still have an active short trade on the weekly chart, okay? Turning around here. I don't know, on this one here, we're kind of ranging right now. So on this one here, we did come down close to the bottom. I think on this one, I'd wait for it to take out the high here. So I'd want it to at least get above 1887. Because the PTF trade is only to 22. So you don't have as much profitability on this one as you do the other one. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at on that. All right, Al's back again. Shorts on the CXX. Let's see what we got on that one. Okay, shorts looking pretty good, I think, on this one. All right, here's probably, in terms of probability, I think you got one more leg down. So I think a short is fine here. Now, you've come up a little bit. I think you have to put your stop at 34.98. Have to go above this bar. This is actually a high probability trade to the short side, provided we're not in structure right now. The only structure I see is this little area here. And but let's draw a fib retracement in, because you do have to be careful with that. You know, so you're already in the fib retracement area too. So in terms of you could get a pull up a little bit before another move down, but I think basically this is a short trade. Okay, stock has got to go above here to give you enough wiggle room for it to pull up a little bit in case it does. These are kind of difficult because a couple of things have happened here. All right, one is that you've had two sharp bars down. You're in a fib area. That kind of works against you. You're in a structured area here, but we did close below it. So that's a good sign. And the next structured area is down in here. So I'm thinking around 31, 32, or a measured move down at the very most on this, probably to the 29.65. So you're, 3 points at best. I don't know if that's worth it because your stop's got to be at this point almost 3 points above, maybe 2.5. All right. So I'll let you decide on what you want to do with that. You might want to instead wait for, see if it pulls back up into the 33.5 area to give you a little bit better risk to reward. Okay. But I do think it's going to go down further. All right. ETSY. Good old Etsy. All right. So Etsy. All right. Long term, we're kind of bullish on that, provided this bottom holds. Okay. We've come down. We got a pyramid below here. At this particular point, you don't have a red PTF. You have a green one instead. And let's see about this measured move down. You might have already had it. So on this one here, you see you're already at the measured move area here, which is also the same area as more definitive structure here. So on this one, I wouldn't do it. Okay. All right. In fact, I'd look for that one to be possibly a turnaround back to the upside. The APE. All right, so this one doesn't seem to be coming up as well. Did I type that in correctly? VAPE, yeah, I think so. Not seeing this one, okay. All right, head back. Let's take a look at CACI. Okay, you're up 2% all long. All right, so let's see where this is going. All right, so PTFs are saying more highs coming. You can easily draw a trend line on that weekly chart too. Pyramids have got you along as well. You're in a little bit of a consolidation here. All right, but at this particular point, this wedge, I think we kind of got a situation like that, and then a situation like that. So I'm thinking probably a little bit longer inside this wedged area or pennant. But we should see a breakout to the upside with PTFs both green. So I would stay with that. All right, BKCH is the next one. All right, let me just scoot down here. I'll come back in a minute. Okay, looks like everybody can hear me okay. So that's a good thing. Yeah, I was looking at the recording from last week, and it was got very blotchy, which is kind of unusual. I mean, we've got plenty of internet bandwidth here, so it had to be something in the server that we use to broadcast. So I want to make sure it's okay. All right, let's take a look at this bad boy, up 32%. We looked at this before. We got a area here of an order block that came in, and That's holding. No PTFs green. So I would just stay with it. You can put the stop on this pyramid here. And in terms of where it's going, there's not that much history on it. So it's kind of not so good. In terms of, we're in a range right now. So you're going to see probably movement to the top of the range, to the bottom of the range, to the top. It's not one of my favorites. You've had 1, 2, 3, 4 pyramids in a row. All right. I personally would probably take some profits here right now. All right. Maybe half, because I don't think it's a great position to be in. Okay. So I would probably either sell out. You got bearish diversions kind of coming in the next high if you get one. But you could leave some on. But I would take some off, half off maybe, and leave the other half below the pyramid. Okay. All right. DVN's the next one. Let's take a look at this one here. Okay, so this one went a little bit lower than the fib retracement on the weekly chart, and we have a bearish PTF. All right, you're up 14%. Again, you can I'd put your stop at right below this pyramid here at what, around 33.26, 25. Again, what we're trying to do is give this room to make eventual new highs, but I don't like the red PTF on the daily. So that's the only problem with this one. You could simply draw another trend line here. All right, and see if that holds as well. And if it gets broken, I'd probably get out. I mean, this has got potential to get above 80, which is a new high on the next move up. So if you really wanted to let it run, just put your stop at the bottom here. Okay, but that's a long ways away, fairly long ways away. So that's kind of deal. I'd probably stay with it, but again, just kind of watch it in terms of a trend line and so forth, and the pyramids. All right, let's keep going on down here. I think Lowell, you're next. Hi, Lowell. RKLB. All right, let's take a look at this long entry. Okay, we'll see what we got cooking on this one. We have a new Discord channel, by the way, so don't forget, join us in Discord. We'll put a link up in the recording as well for that. That's growing leaps and bounds, so definitely join that. I think it's going to be a great place for our basically our guys to interact in there. It's for active traders and investors, so it doesn't matter what level you're at, you can go in there. We got some free stuff in there, so definitely check it out. All right, so let's see what we got cooking here. You're looking for a long entry. All right, so if you're looking for a long entry, where is it going and what's your timeline? So we got history on this only back to about 2020, right, at the most. We've got a situation here where you had a nice move up here, could have been a 3, 4, but then this owl was much stronger than this one, so you're still in a wave 3, right? So we've got a little bit of disruption here. You had a pullback here. All right, probably not enough for a major 3, but you do have an owl here that is green, but that owl could stay green during a correction. So that's the only thing with that. The weekly chart, very strong owl with a green PTF there. We did come down below this area here and stopped at structure and then got to pop up. You're probably going to get one more leg up, I think, before it sells off. So that's kind of where we're at now. So if you are thinking of a long, you certainly could go into that, put your stop below here at 37.66, not too far, about 10 points. All right. And then I would look probably for a measured move to the upside again. That's probably going to be just one more high from this area here. So around 65, possibly for a target. Okay. And that is RKLB. Let's take a look at Kruger, KR for you. All right. And that is long and holding. Okay. All All right, so let's see what we got here. Okay, so on this one here, you've hit the target. We're coming down. No green PTFs. I get out. Okay, you broke the trend line here and here. If you're long term, it's going to probably come down into the structured area for 58. So you know it's a fairly mature trend. So I get out of that. Let me just go back to RKLB for just a moment and take a look at one more thing on this. The other thing that's not in my favor on this, okay, even though you're probably going to get one more leg up, is you're buying way up in the premium area, okay? So that is always a bad idea. And the reason for that is that usually the smart money is getting out now while the dumb money is getting in. So just kind of realize that. Now, that doesn't mean you're not going to make another high, but it's extended here. It's getting extended. So always think twice when you're in a premium area on a trend of whether this is really worth taking or not, okay? So that's the only thing, all right, about it. You got a strong owl, you got a green PTF, so the chances of another high before a major sell-off, I think, are pretty good. So there is a reason to take it. But I'm always, always question the thing twice, 2 or 3 times. Do I really want to be in this? Because I'm buying when everybody's getting out. Okay, so be thinking like that. All right, Stuart, how are you? LEN. Take a look at that. Okay, so you're watching this one. And let's see. So this one was one that came down to a fib area that we drew in before. All right, so it came back up. And let's see. Another good example. This is actually a great example of what we were just talking about, buying in the premium area. Let's go back to the weekly chart or even the daily chart. But let's just take a look at the weekly chart, a little less noise. Notice this area back up in here in 2024 to 25. So, potential for another high. You got it. But then look what happened. And so that dump is usually coming. I don't care what you're looking at when you get in a premium area. You're kind of playing Russian roulette a little bit on whether it's going to make another high or not. Yes, you can have the probabilities in your favor, but there's also an alternate scenario where it could go the other way and then do what the indicators are indicating. Okay, so you got to always be a little careful with that and kind of use common sense on where you're buying in this. On this one, however, you've already now had the retracement, dead stopped here at structure. We had a move off. All right, we haven't really had a pullback yet, have we? Okay, so I'd like to see a little pullback on this run up, Stuart, at this point. You're getting in now in the premium area here. So that's kind of, wait for the pullback, and then I think you could get a better price. Because if you go in now for a long-term trade expecting it to take out 194, you have to put your stop below here, okay? Way down in here. So I kind of think I would wait on the pullback, okay? All right, let's take a look at BABA. So you're watching this red PTF, so that would keep me out of a long here. It's popped up. We've got pyramids clear to the upside, but the PTF is red. And technically, we haven't, yet really broken out of this range. We may, all right, we may get a move up on this, but no go for me. Okay, I would not do that one. SNOW. All right, so this is one I think that we looked at before. We had a target here, hit the target, bounced down. Now it's bounced back up again. So on this one, not a lot of history at this particular point. So notice we had looked at it before, way back in here, broke the trend line. So I think you might have been long here, got out here. And you could have drawn another trend line here like that. And then you got a pyramid entry anyway. So now you had a situation here, okay, where you kind of broke this area here, went back up and made another high. So you could draw a trend line like that. All right. And then you can your two trend lines over here. Okay. So this one here, no, I'm not crazy about it. We broke structure here and we have rejection here. So the equity was taken out here. So let's look at this again next week. You do have a green PTF, but that's kind of the tendency to fill that gap is pretty high in here. Okay. So that's kind of why I'd stay away with that. Hopefully you're already long in that. I'm not sure. All right. Let's see what we got here. All right. Did not notice the chop last week on the video. Okay, good. Maybe it had to do with some of the editing that was done on it. I don't know. I'm not sure we did any though. All right. So, and yeah, it shows up in the recording. Yeah, exactly. Gene and I were watching that. Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. Good morning, Jim, to you. All right, here's the link to the MOR report. And let's go back here to Ed. Okay, Ed's up VRT, up 47%. Okay. May all your trades be that good, right? Okay, so let's see what we got here. All right, so we've got now a fairly premium area. Okay, we're in a premium area, and we can extend this up now. All right, so there's a target on the next pullback. All right, we had the target here. We made another high, so we're going to get rid of that. We had it here. We had a pullback here and here. So you may take equity out again up there, but I think probably we're heading to that target. So 114 to 191 is the target now, and we'll see how that moves back. But I would kind of, unless you want to be in this for the next leg up, then you're going to have to be sitting with this probably for a while. It moves down into that target area. So that's the only thing about that. It's pretty wild, isn't it? I mean, you had 2025 and a year ago, January rather, you had it way up at 155. Then by April, it was down to 52. And now we're up to 153, and we expect it to go down into this area here. I'd probably dump it, okay, if it was me. And I was up 47%. Yeah. I mean, maybe you could buy back in later, but kind of a roly-poly one, and it's at the premium area now. SEZL. New buy, okay? Again, not a lot of history on this, but a nice pullback. And we looked at this one before, and it came all the way down to the bottom here. You got a pyramid entry here. Red owl, okay? Some people don't like to enter those pyramids until the owl turns green. All right, we've got this situation here. Long price bar here, okay? Ouch. All right, the tendency for another move down into this fair value gap now just became extremely high. But also, too, we don't know how far down in it it's going to go. So that's the only thing. Let me just see. You had a gap here, so we'll probably at least fill that gap. What usually happens on things like this, if you don't get an immediate sell-off, you'll get a return anywhere inside this bar up to the top of the gap to the bottom, because that's a bearish gap there, right? So that's the only thing. You need to get on top of that gap for any type of certainty of higher highs. Now we've got a green PTF, we've got a wave 3 owl that's come down dramatically. We may be, in something that gets lower and turns it into a wave 4, or it may go sideways for a while. So let me just see, new buy, you just bought this one. All right, I think probably at this particular point, you could put a stop under here, okay? And I always go one bar ahead. So stock needs to be very low at 45.54. Otherwise, if you put it here, okay, you probably will make a little money, and then you got to either get out here because my gut feeling is we're going down into that gray box, okay, after a brief move to the upside. So we could get to 120. And if we do, I draw a trend line, and if we back away, I'd get out, okay? That's kind of, I guess, what I'm doing on that. All right, ASTS. Let's see what you got here. All right, green PTFs, that's good. All right, you're in the premium area here. All right, and you've got a trend down technically on the daily chart. Again, you can just draw a trend line. So, you know, could it reverse and go back up? Sure. All right, certainly could. We're down, came down to structure and reversed. So I would probably, since you're in it, I would probably just draw that trend line. You know, hopefully it'll break that trend line. And if it gets below here, all right, you could certainly put a stop right in here if you wanted to, okay? You've got quite a bit of bullishness here. I think probably, you know, another high is coming. I think I just would have waited a little bit for a little bit better improvement on the daily chart, okay? But you should make money on this, provided you know you've chosen a bottom here that holds, okay? And that's what I'm not so sure about. All right, ASTS. All right, Al, let's take a look at yours here. Al, I looked at OJ, and it didn't come up. Let me try it again. I thought I did these in the beginning. I thought these were the first ones I did. See, OJ is not coming up. And then NTLA. I'm pretty sure I did these in the beginning, okay? So NTLA, all right, green PTF, all right, so we're coming off a nice bottom. I do like that. And we broke the trend line down, so I do like that. And this is the one, technically, we can't quite draw a trend line yet because we don't have a higher high and higher lows. But we did pull back into structure here, so I do like that. And one of the things you can do is wait. We had a little bit of a pullback. We're in now. Wait until we get above this high of 1190. What is that high? That is 1195. So at 1196. That would be a long position. You may have a pyramid up by then as well. So I'm thinking pretty good for a long position. You're at the bottom of a long move down, so I kind of like it. I think if it moves, you know, waiting just a little longer to make sure this bottom holds isn't going to hurt you, because I think the target's going to be like 71 bucks or 72. So if you waited until what? 1199 or 96, that number was, to get in, that probably would be a good idea, simply because at this particular point, let's see how far down this goes, and hopefully it will not make another low. And I don't think it's going to, though, but I would wait on this. So this one I actually like a lot, and I had this on the good list if you wanted to go in early now. Or you could put it on a watch list if you wanted to break that high, okay? So that's that one. And then VTLE. All right, this was the one that was in a range at this particular point. And I think probably I'd wait until the break of the range. And this is going to be a similar thing in that if it breaks, it's going to be, you know, the profit opportunity is, you know, way above 40. So if you wait just a few dollars for it to break this range, I don't think it's going to hurt you that much, okay? So that I would hold off. And let's put this one on a watch list for next week, okay? We'll bring that next week and let's see how it's doing. All right, let's keep going here. All right, Eleanor high, Frank high. Okay, let's see what we got here. All right, BJ. Hello, BJ South. All right, let's see what we got for gold. Yeah, we haven't looked at gold in a while, have we? All right. up and away, right? So it's kind of over the last, couple of weeks been range bound. All right. So, we had a little micro channel here in the weekly, which we expected more highs. We got. So let me ask you, okay, premium zone or not? I'd say, yeah, premium zones. You got to think real hard on what you want to do with this. So again, anytime I buy at the top of a run, I usually don't. And that's just me. And yes, sometimes it can go a little higher, but you're kind of the smart money would have gotten in earlier. Okay. So people are exiting right now as you're getting in. There's always somebody on the opposite side of that trade, right? So think about that. All right, you have green PTFs and more highs are coming, but those PTFs can remain green even if we sell off into the retracement zone, because once we do that, then yes, we should get more highs. So me personally, I would probably either want to already be in, or I'd kind of hold off, all right, a little bit on this, and wait for a pullback from a trading standpoint. Now, if you're worried about, diversifying your portfolio, fine, okay, because it's not a short-term situation. You're going in for a reason of diversification, and that's fine. But that's usually more long-term. But in terms of trading it, I think at this particular point, you may have one more move to the upside on it, but at this particular point, it's more risky, I think, to take the trade to the long side than to wait it out. Okay, I think there's other things you can do, and it's going to be the same for most all of these. GPX. All right, same type of thing. Okay. Just it's still moving up. There's no question that it's in an uptrend. It's just that it's getting overextended. And silver. All right, silver was one that was a good buy on the breakout of this pennant or wedge here. Okay, not as dramatic as gold, but again, now we're moved up into the premium area here. Okay. So again, unless you're using this as a hedge or something, from a trading standpoint, I personally would not want to be in it. I'd wait for a pullback. Okay. And I know all the metals are very popular right now, and everybody's saying buy, buy, buy. Silver is going to be used for electronics, and it's going to be, hundreds and hundreds of dollars higher at some point. Okay, that's good. But from a trading standpoint, you're in the premium area, and unless this is a very, very long-term play, I think it's a risk up here. Okay, and it's kind of a messy chart a little bit on the daily. I mean, look at it. Okay, bounces around. All right, let's see what else we got cooking here. All right, so Gene talking to Frank. UNG. Okay, so UNG made a new bottom, so you should be out, Frank, of UNG, right? That's the ETF for natural gas. So what we want to do is we want to say, here's the bottom. So we made a new bottom. So at this particular point, you got to wait it out, and it hasn't turned around enough to buy it. Okay, so just at this point, we just hold off. Okay, if you're in it, all right, and did not get out at the bottom, well, that means you're probably going to be married to this, and you just hold it until because you got in not in the premium area, right? You probably got in on anywhere along the bottom here on the weekly chart, so you can certainly just hold it. I'm going to be looking at it for a buy at some point, but it needs to bounce off this bottom with a little bit of vengeance, so to speak. Okay, right now we're still heading down. All right, so that is that one. CNXC. Okay, let's take a look at this one here. All right, so this one here broke the channel. then went into a range a little bit, not unusual. Okay, after a big move up, most of the time markets will range for a while. Okay, when they have a big trend either up or down. So in this case here, all right, we had a trend line here, broke the trend line, moved back into that area here. And so now we moved all the way down to structure. Let me look at these three huge price bars down. Equity taken here, all the way back down into equity here, and then it stopped on that area there, okay, which is also probably a pretty good area of structure. Let's see if we have it back into here, even here. I mean, you know, you can draw a box here, and where is my little box thing? There it is. Okay, so we had structure here. Okay, it stopped the market, not very straight, but you get the idea. But in any case, that's an area that seems to have held here. So I don't know if you're long or short on these, and I would probably at this point would only be looking at this probably for a long-term trade, almost a buy and hold based off the weekly chart. So, you know, you got a pyramid here for an entry. So your stop would have to be, again, at the bottom. All right. So if you wanted to do that, I think that may be okay. But personally, you could also wait for it to pop out of the range, because it could be in the range for half a year or a year. You don't know. All right. So that's my take on that. Okay. All right. Let's move on here. LIT for Frank. How are you, Frank? All right. So Frank, make sure you join our Discord channel as well. I don't know if you knew about that. All right. So let's see. Well, all right. So definitely uptrending right now. Okay. We had a nice pullback. So you did not get in the premium area. You had a pyramid here. So it looks pretty good. And let me see here. The retracement broke wave 1. So that is a violation of wave 4. Okay, so that's the only thing with this. Again, we may be ranging, because the range may be this area from here down to here. Okay, so maybe ranging in that area there. So if you're long term, I think you'll be okay on this, but we may range for a while. Okay, so I don't know any of the fundamentals on this, and it's probably better I don't, because I can give you a better objective technical basis off that. But you know, you're hoping obviously that the move down is done. We're getting in early, and it'll move back up, obviously. And from a short-term trade, this would have been a nice one back in here, but you had a red PTF until recently, so that you couldn't have gotten in here till here, and that would have been after 6 pyramids, so we wouldn't have gotten in anyway. So at this particular point, we'd be flat technically. So I'm saying no, because it has to break out of that range before I'm interested. So maybe another pullback, and then we get a more favorable entry at that point, based on the fact we won't have so many pyramids in a row, and we'll have done the pullback, and it probably will be a better move after that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking on that. That's kind of a tough one. All right. So, Gene put the link up for the Discord. I don't know if you can click on the can you click on links in the comments area? I forgot if you could do that. I'm not sure it'll take you that. We'll put it we'll put a link that's a link in the recording area as well. All right, on this. All right, anybody else? Anybody else? Going once, going twice. So the only one I see today is NTLA, really, right? And maybe CNXC, that was a possible one. Oh, Gene says it's a hot link. Ooh, we like hot links. All right, good. All right, so here we go. All right, so let's see, Eleanor, good. All right. Okay, I missed these two, huh? Okay. I definitely didn't miss owls. That I do know. This is, I gotta type this in right there. I missed this. All right, let's see if I type that one. CRCL. Okay. All right. Right away, not a lot of history. So what is this? Okay. Let's see what we got here. Well, I got a downtrend in place. It really hasn't turned around yet. So let's hold off on this. Bring this next week. Okay. Just there's not a lot of history for me to make a really good assessment on it. You've had a nice retracement, but you still have a red owl. Green PTF, all right, is sitting there for sure. But boy, did it come down pretty hard here. And this is what can happen. The PTF does not tell you how deep or how long a correction is going to last. What it's really saying is when it made that high, there was enough momentum statistically to produce a model where you have a higher 75% probability that you're going to take that high out based on the momentum that created it. That's basically what it's saying. And that's all it's saying. So you can have a significant pullback after that momentum. And then based on the PTF, there's a 75% probability at some point it will return. But that's all it's saying. So that's a no-go, all right, for that one. BROS. We can take a look at that next week, I want to see if it's, turned around into an uptrend, okay? All right, so here's our situation here. We took out the high of this price bar here. So therefore, as soon as you do that, any lower lows are null and void, okay? So that's kind of where we're at now on this. In terms of, I don't know if you're long or short these, but you're kind of in an area of a rangy market right now here. Green PTF. So you could just hold that and I would put your stop. You certainly shouldn't go below here or here. So I know you're kind of a long-termer on some of these. So you probably should hold this with all the green PTFs. Okay. All right. I'm not going to recommend it because it's choppy. All right. It's in a choppy market condition. CRWV. Okay. So on this one here, again, CRWV. Wow. Thought I had more history on this one. Okay. So interesting. All right. So on this one here, we came down to the fib retracement area on the daily chart. We got up here into structured area, fell down, and now we've got a nice area here. I'm trying to see, not too much structure really here. I guess we had a fair value gap here, but it's not that much structure there. Okay, so now what's going to happen? All right, are we in an uptrend or a downtrend? So technically, I guess we could draw a slight move up here like that. All right, I'm also afraid of a bear flag here too. Okay, I don't know if you're in this. Let's wait this out a little longer and see if that bottom is in. If you wanted to go in now, you certainly could do that and put the stop under here. But I don't necessarily see a reason really to do that except a feeling that you're at the bottom of this pullback. And you have an A, B, C, but a short C. So I don't know. That's a tough one. All right. I kind of probably would wait for the owl to turn green on that one. Okay. I'm concerned about these two bars down here. Is that a last gasp of sellers, or is that the beginning of a move we're going to retrace and move back down? That's what I'm not sure. And the weekly chart's not helping me. All right. So, that's a tough one. Okay. Tough one right now. Probably wait for a green out. Why don't we put that on the watch list and look at it next week? I like the pullback and I like the formation of it, but I'm not yet at a real place where I could say that this is a definitive move up. And if it is, then this is our target up here. Okay. All right, let's see. All right. Frank, yes. Discord. Go Discord. All right. Believe it or not, Discord is very popular, especially among the younger group. So it's kind of interesting. For us older folks, Discord was not as popular, of course, as YouTube and other social medias, but it has become extremely popular for most people, even in our industry, to have a Discord channel so that you can get on there and basically post your trades, ask questions. It's almost like an interactive blog, and each you can with a Discord channel like we created, it's specifically for our group. So it kind of is pretty cool. So even though Discord itself consists of many servers, they call them, or channels like ours, it's a great place to go and interact. It's a very interactive situation. And you can also do broadcasts. So eventually we'll do our trading room in there, and a lot of our live events will be in there as well. So kind of cool. All right, let me just see. Anything else? I guess we got to wrap it up here. All right. We're just giving it another minute to see if anything else is coming in. And I think that is it. All right, folks. All right. Well, listen, thanks for coming today. All right. So it looks like we got NTLA as a possible long trade. CNXC was another one as a possible. And then on the watch list, we have VTLE and CRWV we want to look at next week too. So have a great week as we go into September and Labor Day coming up. And we'll be back next Friday. So have a good one. I'll put a little music on and you guys can hang out if you want. And definitely remember, check out Discord. And I think you'll enjoy it over there. It's kind of interesting. All right. See you later, alligators.